Hi, I'm Ken Holstein, and this is a quick overview of our paper presenting a case study in K-12 education of the end-to-end co-design of a data-driven AI system. First, for a bit of background, in recent years, there's been a push on K-12 teachers to implement more personalized classrooms, in which students work at their own pace, while the teacher's role is transformed from that of a lecturer at the front of the class to more of an active facilitator of students' learning. To enable more personalized instruction, we've been seeing greater adoption of AI-based educational software. So for example, intelligent tutoring systems provide students step-by-step guidance through problem-solving activities. They can adapt instruction to individual students based on real-time ML models of students' behavior, their knowledge, and in some cases, even their affective states. And they've been demonstrated in several meta-reviews to substantially enhance student learning compared with other forms of instruction. At the start of the project I'll talk about today, I spent over 100 hours observing a wide range of classrooms using AI tutors. And in most classrooms, I observed the teacher constantly moving throughout the room and holding brief one-on-one help sessions with their students. So in practice, AI tutors and human teachers work together to help students learn in these classrooms. But the role of the teacher in AI-supported classrooms has been understudied, and this partnership isn't working as well as it could. Many teachers I've worked with have noted feeling left out of the loop in their own classrooms during class sessions using AI tutors. But bringing human teachers back into the loop could have a great impact. Events regularly occur in K-12 classrooms that a human teacher might be best suited to deal with, as opposed to an AI system. So over the past few years, I've explored how AI-based software and K-12 teachers might work together more effectively during a class session, allowing human teachers and AI to build upon each other's complementary strengths, rather than trying to automate what human teachers may currently do best. To this end, I've worked closely with over 36 middle school math teachers in the Pittsburgh area who are already using AI tutoring software in their classrooms. And I'll give you a quick overview of this work, spanning early design explorations and iterative co-design and prototyping with teachers. I won't cover it in this talk, but this work led up to a field experiment with a new teacher tool that emerged from these efforts. So I started this research by first getting a sense of the challenges teachers currently face in orchestrating AI-supported classrooms. Others in the learning analytics community have pointed out that the choices of analytics and teacher-facing tools often appear to be influenced more by technical feasibility than by an analysis of teacher needs. So I wanted to begin this project with a thorough need-finding phase. This initial need-finding phase spanned a range of design activities, such as those shown here, which you can learn more about in these papers. As just one concrete example, in one early study, I wanted to know if teachers could have any information they wanted about their students in real time, what would this be? And to do this without biasing teachers towards ideas they thought were already technologically possible, I asked teachers what superpowers they would want in these AI-supported classrooms in order to help them do their jobs. Among several other superpowers, I found that teachers consistently wanted to be able to instantly see when students were unproductively struggling and might really need a human teacher's help in the moment. In a follow-up series of speed dating studies with teachers, teachers were particularly drawn to concepts that would allow them to see actionable information about students' learning in real time, while still keeping their heads up and their eyes focused on the classroom. Since so much of the rich information teachers gain is not from an algorithm, but rather from actively looking at their students, their faces, their body language. So for example, this early concept sketch shows the AI software essentially raising a student's hand for them when it detects that the student currently needs help, even if they're not actually asking for help. So moving towards designing an actual system, I wanted to get a more concrete sense, beyond these superpowers, of what real-time information would be most helpful to K-12 teachers, while also getting a better sense of how they might actually use this information to inform decision-making. And I also decided to explore this idea of teacher smart glasses further. So I conducted an iterative series of design and prototyping studies, working with teachers in their own classrooms and their own schools. As an example, in low fidelity experience prototyping sessions, teachers put on plastic eyeglass frames and looked at a scene of a classroom on a computer screen. When teachers put the glasses on, we would Wizard of Oz analytics overlaid on the classroom image. And these analytics were based on the superpowers that teachers had requested previously. We also invited teachers to edit the information they saw through their glasses. Whenever a teacher generated an idea for new information, I would press them to explain how they envisioned actually using that information. And asking that question often led teachers to refine their ideas, which were then incorporated into the version shown to the next teacher. After encouraging feedback from these prototyping sessions, I next moved to higher fidelity experience prototyping using the Microsoft HoloLens. During each study session, I placed holograms throughout a teacher's physical classroom space, and I was able to modify these holograms in near real time based on a teacher's live design feedback by editing images that were synced with the app while the teacher viewed these through the HoloLens. And teachers also had the opportunity to experiment with decorating their classrooms with different combinations of information displays while thinking aloud and providing design feedback. If you're interested in learning more about this mixed reality prototyping process, you can check out our Medium blog or these research articles at the bottom. So by this point, out of a very large initial design space, we'd converged to a compact set of real-time indicators that teachers believed represented key moments for them to intervene. We also settled on 2 displays that would pop up when a teacher clicks on an individual student's indicator. For example, if the AI tutor diagnoses that a student is struggling with particular skills, the teacher's glasses displayed both the skill and some concrete examples of recent errors the student had made. And these concrete examples were really important to teachers. Teachers often use them to second guess the AI tutor's diagnoses and to infer underlying causes of the student's difficulties. So this is an example where the design supports a form of human-AI complementarity. So I next began developing a fully functional prototype called Lumilo. Instead of Wizard of Ozing the analytics, now analytics would be streamed live from the AI tutors to the teacher's glasses. And here you can see Lumilo in action with an off-task student. In addition, teachers could click on individual students to peek at the more detailed information. So before bringing this prototype into actual classrooms, many open design questions remained. But to support co-design and prototyping at higher fidelity, I needed to create a number of new design and prototyping methods to address challenges in working with data-driven AI systems. So for example, I wanted to involve teachers not just in high-level design decisions about the kinds of information to be presented, but also in shaping the specific algorithms used to drive Lumilo's analytics. So I developed a new prototyping method called replay enactments. Replay enactments embed participants in immersive simulations based on replays of actual data from field contexts in order to make the consequences of algorithm design decisions more tangible to stakeholders, even if they know very little about AI. During a session, a human wizard makes live changes to algorithmic elements of a system's design based on stakeholder feedback. For example, the parameters of a machine learned model. This allows stakeholders to experience the consequences of their requested changes and then rapidly iterate with the wizard. So for instance, in the Lumilo project, teachers worked with the wizard to experiment with different specifications for Lumilo's learning analytics. We invited teachers into a school computer lab. There were no students present, but instead we simulated a class session from historical data so that if the teacher looked at the computer screens, it looked as if there were students working. And teachers could then experience the consequences of particular design decisions while wearing Lumilo and moving throughout the lab space. If you're interested in seeing clips from some of these sessions, you can find them at this link. So replay enactments is one response to calls in the HCI and design communities for new kinds of prototyping methods for data-driven AI systems. By using authentic data and algorithms, replay enactments can reveal critical issues that conventional Wizard of Oz studies can't surface. For example, the interplay between human decision-making and a prototype's false positives and false negatives. And in this project, by conducting these sessions in simulated classrooms first, we gave teachers a space to iterate on the design without risking harm to students. Now we were ready to move into actual classrooms. But before running a large-scale experiment, I really wanted to ensure that the version of Lumilo I'd co-designed with teachers was likely to have a positive impact. When I started this work, there were no principled approaches out there for ensuring the educational effectiveness of teacher analytics tools. So I developed a new data-driven design method called causal alignment analysis, or CAA. Applying CAA in the iterative design of Lumilo meant first making my hypotheses about Lumilo's mechanisms of action explicit, and then iteratively prototyping Lumilo with teachers and students. During classroom pilots, I tracked what teachers did and how they allocated their time during a class session. With this data, I used a causal modeling approach to evaluate whether the tool was having desirable effects with respect to my theory of change, and also to evaluate the theory of change itself. So using this method, CAA, I iteratively refined Lumilo's design over 4 pilot studies. And in the end, the resulting version of Lumilo actually appeared to direct teachers' attention where it was most needed in the classroom. And later experimental studies indicated that Lumilo did help improve fairness in teacher decision-making, which in turn improved student learning outcomes. So these pilot studies also grew our understanding of how this human-AI partnership would play out in the real world. A major theme was that teachers did indeed make decisions based on complementary data sources. In the moment, they would combine what they saw with their own eyes and ears with what the AI system was telling them about their students. And this often played out in interesting ways. In one particularly memorable case, Lumilo alerted the teacher that a particular 7th grader may be off task in the software. But based on what the teacher knew about this student, they thought this was a bit strange and out of character. So rather than taking the alert at face value, the teacher initiated a conversation with the student and asked how the student was feeling that day. And the student ended up revealing that their girlfriend had broken up with them the weekend before. So this teacher, in turn, gave the student permission to take the day off from math if they wanted to. While this is an extreme example in some ways, it illustrates one form of complementarity. The AI diagnosed a student behavior and alerted the teacher. But the teacher then made a rich inference about the underlying cause of the behavior and responded with support and flexibility that an AI tutor simply could not provide. Piloting Lumilo in 30 middle school classrooms provided an opportunity to collect many other rich observations, including students' perspective on the experience of having, as one student put it, a cyborg teacher. At the end of each classroom pilot using Lumilo, I conducted whole class feedback sessions. In general, Lumilo was very well received by both teachers and students. But as you might expect, I also observed tensions between teachers' desires for augmentation or superpowers versus students' desires. So unfortunately, I don't have time to dig into the student side of the story in this talk, which would take us into a more recent set of projects. But you can learn more in this paper at the bottom, where I developed a new co-design method called participatory speed dating to promote a form of iterative design negotiation among different groups of stakeholders. Using this method, students and teachers were able to reflect on one another's perspectives regarding issues such as privacy and control in the classroom. And they iteratively generated new design solutions to resolve conflicting perspectives. So these sessions presented some very interesting challenges around how best to facilitate meaningful design conversations, given the inherent power imbalances between K-12 teachers and students. All right, so thank you. There's a lot I haven't covered in this overview, and many interesting limitations and challenges of this work and approach. So I look forward to digging in some more in the chat. Thanks.